If a guy likes you and won't stop thinking about you, why would he go quiet? That's the question I'm answering today. 7 psychological reasons guys ignore girls they're actually into. And by the end of this, you're going to start spotting this pattern instantly in your own life or in guys around you. Stick around because number 5 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it's probably the most common one on this entire list. Number 1 is fear of rejection outweighing the desire for connection. This sounds obvious, but the psychology behind it goes deeper than just being scared. Our brains process social rejection using some of the same regions that process physical pain. So, to your nervous system, getting turned down doesn't just feel bad emotionally, it registers as an actual threat, almost identical to physical danger. So a guy who really likes a girl will sometimes avoid her completely because the anticipated pain of rejection feels bigger than the potential reward of her liking him back. It's loss aversion at work. We're wired to weigh potential losses heavier than equivalent gains. So staying silent feels safer than risking the blow, even if staying silent guarantees he loses her anyway. The irony is that the guys who feel this the strongest are usually the ones who like the girl the most, because the more he wants something, the more there is to lose, and the more his brain tries to talk him out of ever going for it. Number 2 is he's testing his own feelings by creating distance. This one's less about her and more about him figuring himself out. When a guy catches real feelings, as opposed to just a surface-level attraction, he'll sometimes pull back a little just to see if the feeling holds up when she's not right in front of him. It's a subconscious gut check. If he still thinks about her after a few days of distance, his brain treats that as confirmation the interest is real and not just a passing spark triggered by proximity or a good conversation. The problem is she has no idea any of this is happening internally. She just sees him going quiet, and it can come off as losing interest when it's actually the exact opposite happening under the surface. Sometimes this distance lasts a few days, sometimes it stretches into weeks, and the longer it goes on, the more confusing it becomes for her, because from the outside, there's no way to tell the difference between someone testing feelings and someone who's genuinely moved on. Number 3 is protecting status in front of friends. Guys are extremely tuned into social hierarchy, more than most people ever give them credit for, and showing obvious interest in front of a friend group can feel like exposing a weakness. There's a well-documented effect here. When we know we're being watched by peers, our behavior shifts to protect our image, even if it costs us the outcome we actually want. So a guy might act cold or distant toward a girl he likes, specifically when his friends are around, because looking overly eager in front of other guys can lower his perceived status in the group. Alone with her, that same guy might act completely different, warmer, more talkative, more himself. This is why you'll sometimes hear a girl say he's a totally different person one-on-one, and that's not an accident. That's status protection playing out in real time, and it usually fades once the guy gets more comfortable where the friend group already knows what's going on. Number 4 is he assumes she's out of his league, so he never lets himself try. This is a self-protection mechanism more than anything else. If a guy convinces himself up front that there's zero chance, ignoring her almost feels like the emotionally safer move than shooting his shot and getting an actual no. This is sometimes called preemptive rejection, rejecting the possibility before she gets the chance to reject him, because a hypothetical loss stings less than a confirmed one. Ironically, this tends to happen most with the girls he likes the absolute most. The higher the perceived value, the higher the perceived risk, and the more likely he is to just avoid the whole situation and pretend he's not interested at all. He'll convince himself he's being realistic instead of admitting he's scared, because acknowledging fear feels worse than acknowledging logic, even when the logic is completely made up. Number 5, the one I mentioned earlier, is overthinking every interaction until he completely freezes up. When a guy actually likes someone, his brain starts assigning way more weight to every text, every glance, every small interaction than it would with someone he's neutral toward. This is a form of cognitive overload. When the stakes feel high, we run through so many possible outcomes and worst-case scenarios that we end up paralyzed instead of acting. So instead of texting her naturally, he might sit there rewriting the same message 5 or 6 times, decide none of them sound right, and just not send anything at all. From her side, it looks like he doesn't care. In reality, it's the opposite. He cares too much to just wing it and risk saying the wrong thing. This is also why guys sometimes seem way more relaxed texting girls they don't care about. There's nothing on the line, so there's nothing to overthink. Number 6 is confusing intensity with danger and quietly self-sabotaging. Sometimes a guy will like a girl so much that it actually triggers a kind of internal alarm system, especially if he's been hurt before or carries some attachment insecurity from past relationships. Strong feelings can subconsciously get flagged as vulnerability, and vulnerability can feel like danger to a brain that's trying to protect itself from getting hurt again. So he pulls away, not because the feelings aren't there, but because they're too there, and pulling back becomes his nervous system's way of trying to regain a sense of control. This shows up more than people realize, and it usually has far more to do with his past than with her at all, which is exactly why it can feel so confusing and inconsistent from the outside. One week he's fully engaged, the next week he's distant, and nothing about her actually changed. Number 7, the last one, is he doesn't want to risk the friendship or the group dynamic. If there's already a social connection in place, mutual friends, a shared friend group, overlapping social circles, a guy might genuinely like a girl, but hold back specifically because he's already calculated the cost of it not working out. Losing the friendship or dealing with an awkward group dynamic if things go south can feel like a bigger loss than the potential gain of dating her. So he keeps things at a comfortable, safe distance, tells himself it's for the best, and quietly deals with the feelings instead of ever acting on them. This one shows up most in guys who value stability and hate uncertainty more than the average person, and it can go on for months or even years without either person ever saying anything out loud. So, there you have it. 7 psychological reasons a guy might ignore a girl he actually likes. And as you can probably tell by now, almost none of these actually mean he doesn't care. Most of the time, it's the complete opposite playing out under the surface. If you're a girl watching this and you recognize a few of these happening at once, it might genuinely be worth reading into it more before writing him off completely. And if you're a guy watching this and you just saw yourself in more than one of these, take that as your sign to actually do something about it, instead of sitting on it for another 6 months. Because none of these 7 reasons actually go away on their own. They just get more comfortable the longer you let them sit. Quick gut check before you go. Which one of these 7 hit closest to home for you? Drop the number in the comments. I genuinely read every single one. If this made you rethink someone in your life, hit like so it reaches more people who need to hear it, and subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this every day.